what's your favorite motorsport memory? And B, is this you also in the rig when you're winning iRacing or with the boys? So we'll play this out for the crowd here. But this is me in the rig here when I win, or podium. So probably a pretty emotional event for you here. So yeah, this is me in like a Thursday night at 11 o'clock as I'm getting ready to go to bed after beating a bunch of people I don't know in iRacing. But yeah, so what's your favorite motorsport memory?
This? I mean, how could it not be?
Hello and welcome to the Chicane Podcast, where we discuss all things in the sim racing world. I'm your host, Jason Rivera, and I'm joined here by Mr. Eric Kelly, Jeff Smart, and Mr. Daniel Morad, the creator of Moradness, the GT3 and GT4 driver himself, joining us today on the show. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing excellent.
We're in for
I don't even know what
today.
time it is. I am jet lag. What is jet lag?
Oh, you're
I hear
jet
you,
lag.
buddy.
So
Yeah, I actually came back. I was in China 2 weeks ago and Italy last week. So just traveling all over the world.
Man. Wow, man. So you were in China and you were also in Italy, right? As well? You were Monza? Yeah, Monza. Damn, man.
Nice.
Yeah, you know what, dude? There's not too many people that are going to feel sorry for you.
Damn,
no,
this guy.
You don't need to. I'm not going to lie. It's the dream. It's what I've worked hard for. It's with racing, it's so challenging because it's a difficult sport. It's really a wealthy person sport, and it's going more in that direction. And it's actually really nice that I made it with very, very minimal family support. Like they did as much as they could, not minimal. They literally put everything, their whole life they dedicated to me. I put my parents in a bad spot, just to keep me going. And I had a lot of great support along the years, but this is the culmination of all that hard work and sacrifice. And my parents are still recovering. They're doing well now, but honestly, it was like I owe a lot to them. They really did sacrifice so much for me, as much as they could. But racing's tough, and this is the dream. I wanted to be busy. This year it's like 19 race weekends, so plus testing, it's a lot.
They got you hopping.
That's beautiful, man. I love that.
I'm sure your parents are proud of you, dude.
Super proud. I'm so thankful for everything as well. It's tough. It's weird because in racing you have this, like, there's a stigma, right? People from the outside think that every driver is a paying driver and everyone has the same cookie cutter story, but everyone's story is a little bit different. So I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit today, but yeah, everyone's story is different, how they started, what their path is to get to where they are. And at the end of the day, the goal is to make a living doing this, and happy to be able to do that.
All right, Daniel, well, you create a perfect transition for us. So why don't you jump in and talk to us about how you got into motorsports and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, well, briefly, I started racing when I was 8 years old, 1998, a while ago, and never intended to do this as a profession, just really love sports. So yeah, my dad got me a go-kart for my 8th birthday, like a used kart. He went karting with some friends and thought it'd be fun for me. So we just drove up and down the street. Eventually we're like, okay, this is a bit dangerous. There's some cars, and we took it to the local racetrack or go-kart track. And just really loved doing that with my family. After school, we'd go to the track, do some practice laps. And then I joined the local racing league, and straight away picked up on it and was successful, started winning. And one thing led to another, and got picked up by some go-kart teams, and they started covering everything. So that was really helpful for my family, of course, because my parents were both working and coming from a working class family, so they put as much as they could into it, but got the support from some go-kart teams, was winning for them, which was the most important thing. If you're winning, then you're selling product. So that's kind of the business side of it they saw the opportunity with a driver that was capable of winning in their product, and then they'd turn around and flip my stuff to different customers and sell it as race winning product. And that's really how I kept my career going in go-karting, and was pretty successful in karting. 13 national titles in 8 years of karting.
Wow.
Got scooped up by, actually got invited to try out for the BMW junior
And those
team.
were straight, right, Dan?
What's that?
Those were straight wins, like every season?
Yeah, so I would do various championships in karting throughout the US and Canada. So in one season, so the most successful year I had was 2004. I was 14 years old, and that was 4 for 4. So all 4 championships I entered, national championships, we won all 4 of them.
Wow.
And that's
No big
when I
deal.
got the attention of some like news publications, and they actually had this scholarship program where they would send a successful karter over to Europe to try out for this, BMW junior team. At the time, it was the Formula BMW series. They had 4 different championships across the world. So there was the US, Europe, Asia, and the UK. So of course I went to go try out for the US championship to get a scholarship. I ended up winning it. There's
That's
like
awesome,
120 drivers. They submit their entries to it. I think maybe like 40 go, and then 4 get selected.
Wow.
So I was one of the 4 guys, but we turned it down because we didn't have the funding. They only partially subsidized the year.
Man.
So like we couldn't make it happen. I couldn't go car racing. So the first year we declined it, went back again, got an invite, won it again, also couldn't accept it because we were trying to get the money together, but we couldn't do it. And,
Can I, if I may? So what happens when you decline it? Right, you win the championship.
You go to the next guy.
It just goes to P2.
It's like there's 4 people they have in mind, then it will just go to the next guy.
I see.
On the list.
Okay.
But actually, that year where we declined it the second time, I ended up racing in the series because we had a family friend that was like, no, you have to do this, and ended up supporting the effort. So paid for my first year of car racing.
Wow.
That's pretty
which
cool.
was really huge, and still a friend of the family today. Owe a lot to this guy. Well, I don't know if I should say his name. I don't know if he wants to be mentioned publicly. Kind of a low key guy.
I respect that.
Just gave me that.
You know who you are. You know who you are.
Yeah, it was still very much a part of our lives. And ended up winning the rookie championship that year. Won the first race weekend ever. So got into the series and won the first race weekend at Mid-Ohio from 12th on the grid. And it was in the rain actually as well. By turn 2, I was already second, and by turn 4, leading.
The rain, bro.
Sounds like iRacing or something.
I hate the
it was a
rain.
total iRacing moment. I was like, I ended up exiting turn 2. I'm just like, how is this happening right now? That was great, and ended up winning the rookie championship that year. And then BMW gave me that scholarship at the end of the year for winning the rookie title. So the following season, I won the overall championship. Red Bull picked me up mid-year as a Red Bull junior in the F1 program. Got dropped from it at the end of the season after breaking a record for most wins in the year, winning the title. So just kind of a business decision.
That's crazy.
And it is what it is, right? That's racing for you. But bumped around, did a few other things, A1GP, GP3, stopped racing for 4 years, got back into it, and got into GTs. So that was an interesting story, actually, how, getting back into GTs after 4 years.
That must have felt amazing. That must have
getting into it. Like, it's unheard of, right? You don't stop racing for 4 years and get that second opportunity.
Did they change much from like the 4-year period? Like from the ones that
I changed for sure, because I think I matured. I would say when I was younger, I was very, very shy. And I had like this quiet confidence where, I believed in myself, but through all the politics and the business, I think the thing that struck me the most was actually after I won the Formula BMW title, got dropped that's when my whole world kind of crumbled, because I realized that the F1 dream is not going to happen. And I was like, how can this happen?
So the
you
dream
win.
was F1 then from the
Oh,
start.
for sure. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that's what I was aiming for. But you think you're young, you're 17 years old.
It's not over yet, man. I don't know.
No, there's no chance. I'm 34.
I mean, look at Lance Stroll. If he
We
got
can
it,
dr- yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's doing great. Honestly, he's. I think people rip on drivers from the outside, but like they're all good. Every F1 driver you see,
I know,
no matter what,
We'll
they're
talk
actually all
in a
good.
second. You know,
That checks out.
Just some of them have better opportunities than others
true.
financially.
Can I ask a kind of a follow-on question before you move on? What is it's eye-opening already what you're talking about, how you are won the championship that you were in, but got dropped from your sponsorship. What is that? I mean, do you ever find out why? Did they give you unfiltered feedback, or is it read between the lines?
Yeah, I got a one-line email from Helmut Marko saying that I'm not on the team anymore. That's how I got released from my contract. So yeah, it's just like, it was really shocking to me, because you're young, you're 17 years old. It's tough to cope with that, and you're just wondering, like, I've done everything right, won everything I could on the professional side, so like, what is it? So then confidence gets hit, and that's kind of like, that was the downfall.
Your brain, your mind, well, you can't shut that off.
For sure. It's like, it's trauma, right? Like,
you can't shut it off. Like, what's wrong? Is it me? Is it the car? Like, what is it?
Yeah. Then you just lose that racing is all about confidence. Sports is all about confidence. That's why you see, athletes when they're in the groove, when they're, on a roll, whether it's baseball, soccer, football, whatever it is, when they're feeling it, it's that like quiet confidence, that subconscious instinct that you have.
In the zone.
When your confidence is smashed, then you start to second guess and doubt yourself. And when you're in a sport that is so fast paced and every millisecond counts, you just, don't make the right judgment call in certain situations. Maybe it's that one qualifying lap where you need to nail every single apex and you miss it by a little bit. And it's the difference between pole position and 10th. And that changes the whole outlook on everything you're doing in a season. So confidence gone, really affected my driving in the following seasons that I got the opportunities to drive in. And yeah, ended up stopping for 4 years, doing some driver coaching, just trying to stay active and make a living. Because at this point, I was making no money, and my parents sacrificed everything for me. And it's like, okay, well, we got to turn this opportunity into some sort of financial income. So started doing some driver coaching and manufacturer programs. And
driver coaching for GTs?
So I was doing like consumer driver coaching, like so I did the Audi driving experience in Canada. That was the big project that I was working on. So I was one of the 4 instructors in Canada for the Audi driving experience.
That's awesome, man.
Wow. Yeah. So awesome. It was like a drastic change. I'm like, okay, this is real life now. So the dream of racing is done. And I'm in a parking lot kicking some cones. So, but you know what? It's funny, because in life, you never know what opportunity lies in front of you, right? And that was like a perfect situation for me, because I was really shy. I didn't have very good social skills. And that was what I needed to get out of my shell, learn how to speak to people in a public setting, gain my confidence back. Because when you're speaking in a group of 50 people, successful businessmen and women, you need to command the room. And at first I was really shy. So I had a really good mentor who showed me kind of how to communicate with the group and command a group of 50 or 100 people. And I just emulated his style and put in my own little twist. That helped me a lot. So first year was a bit rough. Second year, learned how to develop my own skills. Third year was pretty smooth. Fourth year I did this. I started doing product presentations with, dealership presentations of new cars, car unveilings, 1,000 people in a dealership, and speaking in front of everyone, displaying the cars and this kind of stuff. So it was a really, really good learning experience for me, gained a lot of confidence. And arguably, if without that, I wouldn't be able to get back into racing, because that gave me the confidence to start calling teams and just like cold calling. And I wasn't afraid of rejection. I was like, whatever, what's going to happen? Like, they're going to say no. I called one team. They said no. I was like, okay, next one.
Next one. Yeah. Scratch it off the list.
Team. And obviously I strategically started planning out the phone calls to teams where I saw that there were opportunities where they were putting young, talented drivers in the seat. And yeah, the second team I called, they were super interested because, funny enough, that Formula BMW championship where I was a Red Bull driver and they dropped me, like, well, anyone that wins that championship must be worth our time, because they know the names that have come through there. So with that, I got a test. And in that test, I unofficially broke the lap record at Motorsport in a Porsche Cup car, first time driving it ever, in 10 laps.
Yeah.
I knew the track, thank goodness. It's my home track.
Your first time, though. That is
first run in the car, lap record unofficially. It was a cold day, so all good.
And you get out, you're like, what?
It was perfect situation for me. Yeah, so the team
engineer was probably like with a clipboard, like, what?
Yeah, it was totally old school. Team owner on the long chair with the stopwatch, actually with his Daytona, clicking away.
That's cool.
So yeah, and the team owner ended up giving me his car to race, which was so awesome. And I would have never picked up the phone if it wasn't for doing that Audi driving experience and learning how to speak to people publicly. So
wow, yeah,
kind of funny how life takes you in a weird path, right? You always think, why me? Like, people, when they have bad situations handed to them, like, oh man, why is it always me? If you always question that and you're always like negative about any situation that's in front of you, you'll never progress in life. So for me, I had this moment where I was like, man, this sucks. Like, everything's going wrong. But I stopped the pity party and I started focusing on the positivity and like what I can do to build my future. And then good things start happening, right? When you start focusing on the positivity, it just snowballs.
Yeah. It's funny.
It's some sort of energy that you exude when you focus on positivity, then positivity comes back.
And that can be applied to just life in general. Like you said, it's not just racing, it's everything. It's a daily
people
thing.
Can say, oh, this guy's so lucky. Oh man, so much luck. I feel like you make your own luck to a certain extent.
Definitely.
Because if I self-reflect in my early years of racing when I was younger, yeah, sure, I was quick and I was doing everything right and I was winning, but I was like Swiss cheese. I had so many holes.
You still have to have the talent, though, I think.
Yeah, no matter what, like, talent is the admission ticket.
Yes,
exactly.
That's the ticket to get you in.
But then now
what do you do with
the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like I said, there were gaping holes in the total package. So it's something that I developed later, or a bit slower than maybe I would have liked to. But in the end, it's all happening properly, right? Everything happens for a reason, and I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, you know what? That actually brings me to our next question, because you're talking about the things that you don't know that you're missing, that you need to kind of fill you out as a person. What's an aspect of being a professional race car driver that you think most people don't know or understand or overlook? Because obviously you got to have the skills.
Yeah.
But are there any other aspects of being a driver that, you think people don't really notice or kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think there's so much stress in terms of when you're on the development path, the finances. And I think early on it was really challenging because you have to think in the back of your mind, if I stick my nose in and break the wing, like my season's over. Those kind of things you don't really get in sim racing. Sim racing, people just straight line you and
Restart.
send you to the moon.
Yeah.
And then you start yelling at each other and dropping the F-bomb, and then you move on. Yeah. But this kind of stuff in real life, it really plays in the back of your mind, especially when you're younger and there's a lot of money at stake, and a mistake can cost so much. So I would say that's one aspect that you don't really think about. Just the business side, there's a lot of pressure. There's sometimes unnecessary pressure. So just for example, when I was a Red Bull driver, I would be winning races and I'd come off the track winning and I'd get a call asking why I didn't win by a bigger margin, things like that. And that
Oh,
would
wow.
really,
Jeez.
it was just so strange.
So winning wasn't enough for them. Wow.
No,
Obviously
well, I
not.
don't know. Here's the thing. I think that winning is enough, but it's how you cope with certain situations. And I think that there's so much pressure in racing. It's so dangerous. Not that I think about how dangerous it is. I just do what I do. And obviously I don't want to damage anything, because not only in my younger years would it cost, my sponsors, or maybe I had a certain amount of budget for a season from sponsors or from a team. And if you smash the car, then boom, budget gone. Then you don't finish. You're done for the year. And so many young drivers end up having to stop mid-season because of things like that happening. But yeah,
that's wild, man.
Pressures that you have to deal with. Imagine as a 15, 16, 17-year-old, you're not even finished. You're midway through high school. You're having to deal with high pressure situations. Kids these days, it's different. Like, I feel like I was way more mature for my age when I was young compared to what I experienced, like through sim racing, let's say, because there's a lot of young kids in sim racing and they think that they're all that. But really, when they go into real life, reality hits them hard.
Yeah.
So, nobody knows what anybody goes through. I've been through so much and having to deal with all that kind of pressure. Nowadays, I'm enjoying myself. There's still a lot of pressure, especially, for instance, when I race in Europe. It's the highest level of
motorsport. It's a different ball game.
In my opinion, I think it's the hardest. I mean, maybe it's controversial, maybe because I'm in it. I'm going to say it's more difficult than F1. But no, honestly, if you look at the SRO World Challenge, like GT World Challenge Europe, there's 50 to 60 cars, all factory drivers in every single car, especially the top 20. It's like 20 cars, 3 drivers per car. You have 60 of the best factory drivers from each mark entered. Guys that could have made into F1. They didn't have the money or the situation line up for them. And, we're representing, there's 2 cars representing Mercedes AMG, and I'm in one of them. So there's a lot of pressure, right? You have to perform.
So quick question
a lot
on
of these tracks I'm going to, it's my first time going to them.
That's wild.
It's difficult, right? You get a handful of laps and then it's like, boom, okay, time for quali. You have 1 lap because you have heated tires and
you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yep.
I do have a question on that though. You mentioned that most of the drivers, their ultimate dream is to, was F1. So I didn't know that about GT racers. I thought that was their passion, and I would separate the two. So it's kind of interesting to hear that.
Most drivers, I would say, I grew up racing against, and now we're racing GTs together or against each other. But I would say 90% of the GT drivers, prototype drivers, are all coming from single seaters. It's changing a little bit now because of things like the Porsche Carrera Cup and these kind of series where they're great development series. That's where I came from, Porsche Carrera Cup or GT3 Cup. And winning that title gave me the opportunity to do Daytona, for instance, and win Daytona for the first time in 2016.
Hey, congratulations.
So that was super crucial. That was really, really important. And so many drivers have gone through it, whether it was that or maybe even just transitioning from single seaters into GT3 directly. But a lot of them started in single seaters and then found a roadblock and like, okay, can't progress anymore. There's no future. They'll get to F3, F2. It's like, there's no door open here. So they pivot, go to DTM, go to, do some prototypes, GTs. They get scooped up by a manufacturer. So I think that was kind of like the big mistake I made when I was young, is I was so fixated on F1, and straight out of the Formula BMW series, I had an opportunity to do GTs right then and there at 17 years old. And speaking with the Formula One program, like with BMW, the head of BMW at the time, Motorsport, I had a conversation because I was still a junior driver. So it's under their wing, and they would give you support on like what you would want to do in the future. And there's education involved there. They teach you engineering, media, and so on.
Nice.
So I was like, what do you think about this opportunity? Should I do it? And he's like, if you do that, then your F1 hopes are over. So I was like, I want to do F1. I just imagine you just win this title and you think that the path is clear. Like all you have to do is keep winning. Yeah. So I think that in hindsight, just take when you have the opportunity to make a living in motorsport, you should kind of take that, unless there is a proper clear path to getting to the top with a lot of financial backing behind you.
That's wild.
As I have already mentioned, we did not have.
I never looked at it that way. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so many people made that mistake. So many guys that are not racing anymore, they were so talented, but kept pushing through. They had the opportunity to deviate and turn their success into a full-time career. But it's like, you want a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So you got to know when to fold your hand and take the W somewhere else. But luckily I got the second chance. Like, I'm so thankful that I got that second chance because I thought it was over. So it's cool. It's cool to be able to do it now. And it's been a hard journey, ups and downs, roller coaster. But I think anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
There you go.
There's the cliche for you.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of a follow up to what you were talking about your racing. So what is a day in the life, of a championship winning GT3 racer? A day, if you could walk us through a day at the track, and then kind of your average day back at home.
So track is easy. It's like vacation mode compared to home. I'll explain why, but the racetrack, it depends where I'm racing, right? Because every series has a different level of let's say responsibility. And I'll walk you through the three of them. So US, for instance, it's pretty low key in terms of what I'm doing driving wise. I'll typically get 6 laps, 8 laps before the race in the US and GT4. Most of it's training my teammate. So my gentleman driver, Bryce Ward, this year, he's a successful businessman turned race car driver. He wants to do racing on the side as a hobby. And I have to do a lot of coaching with him. So most of the day is going through data, going through video, trying to find, and it's not complicated. I think you don't need to complicate coaching because you can only process so much information. So I'll look at key bits of information, try to really dumb it down in a way where it's super easy to digest, because when you're on the track, you don't want to think very complex. You want very easy things to digest and execute on. So we'll find a few points, boom, execute on the track. Next session, we'll do the same thing, rinse and repeat. So throughout the day, I'm kind of looking through data. Maybe we're going over it a couple times as a refresher, and we'll go back and forth. But for me, on my side, I'm typically always maxed out after the first few laps. So more or less race ready after 3 laps, I would say. And the sim helps a lot with that.
That's what's up. That's pretty
So sometimes
quick,
I actually get 0 laps. So if we have an issue with the car, Daytona last year, I had 0 laps before the race in the 24-hour.
You go full send or you wait for the tires to come?
No, you got to push. If you don't push, then you don't get temperature in the tires, and you just got to drive on the limit. Whatever you feel the car, you feel the limit, and you go. So in the US, it's more or less how it is, and then I'll get in the car for the second half of the race. I don't qualify. My teammate qualifies, then I'll get in the second half of the race and do my best, and hopefully we can get on the podium.
Carry it home.
Yeah.
Again.
In Asia,
that's
same
awesome.
situation, Pro-Am racing, and sort of a little bit more involvement on my side, because I would say my role is also quite important, because I qualify and I start and finish one of the 2 races. So there's 2 races in Asia, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. So my teammate will qualify for one, start one, and then I'll finish it. Then the second race, I'll qualify, start, and he'll finish. So we have to go through kind of run plans of preparing how to prep the tire. So we're really studying how the tire works and how to get it in the right operating window. working on setup, working on my teammates driving, because it's pro-am, and typically the am drivers are a second to 2 seconds off. So we're trying to close that gap. And the most important element is the am driver. If your am driver is quick, it's a huge advantage, right? They give you the car near the front, and then you just get in the car in the front and you walk away. If your am driver gives you the car in the mid pack, and then all the other pro drivers are on track, now you have to fight with other pro guys. So it's a lot more difficult than if you get the car up front. So we work on that. We're trying to get my teammates up to speed. In Europe, that's the top level. I mean, we're not really working on each other. Like we're dissecting the smallest details, because it's 3 factory drivers in the car, and we're trying to figure out how to extract hundreds. Like there's literally thousands between us, and we're looking at these little details. Oh, the brake release here. Oh, you got this extra bit of rotation. Oh, okay, use this curb. That we're really looking through everything, data, video. We're trying to make our driving perfect, but also with the car, trying to get the tires working in the right window. So I mean, man, it's from morning.
That's a lot
evening,
going on.
It's nonstop. Like
that's a lot going on.
we eat breakfast at the track, lunch at the track, dinner at the track. It's not glamorous. Like everyone thinks you're going on runway shows and fashion shows.
They think you're in a
series.
Yeah,
Asia's a little different. I would say Asia's more luxurious.
Mm-hmm.
The AM drivers there like to enjoy themselves a little bit more. So it's like, okay, we want to work, but at one point it's like, okay, we're going to stop and we're going to go have a nice dinner.
Yeah.
And
you got to take advantage when you can, right? So
yeah, for sure. I mean, well, I'm a servant to the team and to the drivers. I represent Mercedes. I work for the brand, and whatever it takes, I do. So for me, I said it's vacation, but it's because I love doing it. I love doing everything in life that I'm doing right now, but it is a little bit easier than at home. At home, when I get to spend my 2 days at home, I don't really rest. It's flat out on the company. So Moradness is our lifestyle motorsport company. We started after winning the Rolex 24 in 2017 with hats. We did some hoodies and t-shirts, and through the COVID time and the lockdown and sim racing, big boom, we pivoted to making more performance wear rather than just clothing. Because our whole thing was we wanted clothing that looked like motorsport clothing, comfortable, things you wear at the track, that wasn't limited to the racetrack. I didn't like when you had this like branding, everything, like you couldn't wear that out.
Yeah, loud branding.
We wanted something that was subtle, kind of minimal, but really paid attention to details and good quality materials. So we created a motorsport lifestyle brand that you can wear at the track, but also wear out to dinner or wear every day. And then we started doing sim racing gloves, because through the lockdown, I was doing a lot of sim racing. That's when I got into it. And I was using my race gloves, and they kept ripping, like my expensive Nomex gloves. I'm like, man, I'm going to run out of gloves soon. So I was talking to my wife. Well, at the time we were dating. Now we're married and a kid on the way.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Congrats.
Awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
So I'm like, let's make our own gloves. And my wife's an entrepreneur. Like, she wanted to do this. She wants to have her own company. She tried with a few other fashion brand ideas, but it didn't really hit. But with this, we had something. We made some prototypes. After like 7 different prototypes, we found something that was good, and I started using it. And now we're doing performance jerseys, shorts, sim racing socks. The gloves they're the number 1 sim racing glove in the world by quite a margin, actually. And you can just see the presence online with all the streamers and YouTubers. It's really, really cool, and also professional drivers.
I love the ones that look like a bone or something. It's like
the bone,
the skeleton.
skull.
Yeah,
those
we
are
actually
dope,
have.
Man. Those are
that's
dope.
been like one of our most popular designs, and so we wanted to create art on gloves. And the goal was we wanted to make a glove that was durable, that lasted, right? And of course, it's just fabric, right? Sometimes it's not perfect, but I have to say our fail rate is like less than 1%. It's like 0.2%.
It's impressive, man. And you
Because
don't
we're
need them
spending
to
a lot
be
of gloves.
fire retardant or anything like that. It's not like
Not yet. We actually inquired. So we're in contact with the FIA now, and we're doing
Oh.
some
Wild.
testing.
oh, you're trying to get
man.
it stamped with
Here
that
you go.
FIA approval thing.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
we're certified for karting. So international
Okay.
karting, our gloves are certified for karting. Obviously, sim racing, you can use them. People are using our gloves for track days, DEs, time attack, things like that, autocross. But we wanted to make gloves that were so durable that you didn't get a new pair because they wore out. You got a new pair because you wanted the next design. So
I like
we're
that.
successful in doing that because we're cranking out designs. My wife's artistic side with
Dude, you should make like a commercial. That's a great slogan right there. You know,
yeah, and that's really what it comes down
perfect,
to.
man.
That's why we made it. That's why we started the gloves.
That's
And
awesome.
it's successful because they do last the test of time. Guys like you know, I guess everyone listening will know streamers like Samsoid, you know, David Sampson.
Yeah.
Samsoid's a fairly large streamer. He uses our gloves. 2 years he used a single pair of gloves.
Wow.
And he's like, they look brand new after 2 years.
Wow.
Every day streaming 6 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
So that's
So
all
we'll-
the proof we need right there to show.
So we'll
that
definitely leave links in the description here
Yeah,
so you can
for-
check out these
100%.
gloves.
Exactly.
100%. Maybe we can spice it up with a little special affiliate code for the podcast.
Yes,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
love that.
Check
I
the
would love
description.
that.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
viewers
we'll
would
make
too.
it happen.
If you
especially
made
for
it
the
this
holidays
far in the
coming up.
show, then you will
Yeah.
know.
New collection
Exactly.
October 16th. So depending on when you're listening to this, it's already out, perhaps. And
Possibly.
Check that description.
but we'll see.
Let's
No,
go.
we have a new
Let's
collection.
go.
Actually, new Bones gloves. They were so popular. We have different colors of the. Bones
I love
gloves
this,
coming.
bro. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You
man.
guys heard him. It's
Yeah.
coming.
And many, many more designs. Actually, a really cool design is it's the design and the livery of the Mamba. You know, the man filter car. It's a
Oh.
pretty. I would say like pretty well known. It's a fan favorite. It's the snake, right? The Mamba man filter snake that we race in the GT World Challenge Europe series. So we're making a glove in collaboration with Manfilter on
This is gonna cost me a fortune, Dan.
I know.
honestly,
I'm
right?
gonna
those are my
go-
favorite gloves.
After this is done, I'm gonna have to go to this website again.
Yeah,
It's,
Moradness.com.
Moradness.com. There you go.
Yep.
How much was that
I
shipping
mean,
to
this has
Hawaii?
turned into the shopping channel right now.
I know,
No,
man.
when I'm home, like I'm
This is about to
working
get
on-
expensive, and you know the holidays are coming up too. So, I mean,
Exactly.
but I'm just working nonstop with my wife on this stuff. You know, we have a couple employees now.
she's a big contributor, right? You mentioned.
I mean, my wife does everything. I get the
Yeah.
credit for most of it, which is funny because I would say I do 15% and she does 85% of the work.
Well, you do the driving, Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I'm the
that's-
marketing. That's it. I'm
That's-
the frontline guy.
Yeah,
So-
your
Art
face.
at 200
You go
miles
and
an
drive
hour.
the car. You
Yeah.
just do that. That's awesome, man. That's your team, is what you're saying. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, we have. I mean, I'm so lucky to have my wife in my life. That rhymed. That was good.
I
No,
know.
she's-
man. You are
she's been the best
on
thing that's
fire, bro.
happened.
You're on fire on the show. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm super lucky. Honestly, like, not to be cliche or anything, but like, no, seriously, my wife is. We're just the perfect match, the perfect balance of our character, how we operate day to day, and what we enjoy in life. It's perfect, and I don't mind the frontline stuff. I used to be shy, like I told you guys, but
Yeah.
now no problem. A million people talk to a million people. I don't care. I'll talk to anybody. Everybody for me is the same. We're all human. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter
I
what
respect
you do
that.
in life. It doesn't
So
matter. if you're-
humbleness goes a long way, man. It goes a very long way. It'll get
Yeah,
you
I mean-
places that you'll never. Same thing with my own personal career. You know, being humble has gotten me places that I never thought that I would be in. So I
100%.
mean, I'm not a GT3 racer. I wish, but
Not in real life, anyways.
Not in real life. Maybe in the sim world. Which brings us to our next question, and this is an interesting one. So when you said you got into sim racing briefly during the COVID, right? Because they shut the
Yeah.
tracks down, you couldn't go racing. So what's the next best thing? Is the virtual world. So how do you? So your sim, you get on there for, is it just fun? I know that the pandemic's over and you're back to driving, but you still have the sim racing thing going on. So what is it compared to? Like, is it strictly a tool now, or is it strictly like entertainment?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. For me, it's fun first and foremost. Everything I do in my life has to be enjoyable. That's kind of like the rule I have.
Amen.
I only want to do things that are fun. So I figure out what I'm good at, what I want to do, and how to make it fun. So if you can do that, you're not working.
I was going to say that, man. I didn't want to steal your thunder. But if you're having fun, you're not working.
If you want to cut me off, I want you to listen. I can't keep dropping these cliche quotes all the time. You got to help me.
I know. We're
here.
up to what is that? We should
at
get
least
a counter.
6 minimum.
Hey,
we need a counter.
You're prepping to be a dad, so you got to get your dad.
Dude, I'm ready to go. Cliche out the kazoo, dad jokes ready on tap.
Yeah.
Got to get you one of those dad hats that Eric likes to wear on the show too.
It's in the other room. Don't worry. I'm just waiting. Man. I like doing the sim racing. It's fun. I love the social aspect, connecting with people, streaming. Also, it's great for marketing our product. Like, what's better than being live streaming in front of a few hundred people or a few thousand people over a live stream will watch, and unique viewers. We'll have. I don't stream long, right? I try to stream a little bit, 2-3 hours, a couple times a week, and we'll reach maybe 10,000 people per stream. 6 to 10,000. That's really, really good. It's a good.
Those are big numbers, Daniel, because because of our niche, right? Sim racing 100%. Is not Fortnite, or it's not any other of these video Call of Duty or something like that. That they get, they're in the hundreds of thousands. But
I wish the niche was a bit less niche, but I think all of us do. Sim racing is awesome. Getting there. The racing is so cool. It's real racing. Yeah. Maybe they're fake cars, but the racing's real. Like, the adrenaline's real. I actually get more nervous on the sim than I do in my real races if I'm doing a big
Interesting.
Yeah, because I'm not as confident on it. Like, I know that other people put more time in. That's the commodity I don't have more.
That is crazy. Right?
Young, having less responsibilities, you have more time to do sim racing, and the more time you put in, the faster you're going to be. If I'm ever racing, I do 0 practice. I just jump on and go.
Figure it out.
That's all of us. Because you got that block of time and you're like, do I really want to spin laps, or do I just want to go door to door? Let's go door to door right now. Door.
Sometimes roof to the ground.
I just want to say, Daniel, I love your videos, by the way. Yeah. Because when I was getting into this hobby, you were one of them, and you would explain how braking, trail braking, all your videos. My favorite video is one I think you made recently. I'm not sure when. I'm not too sure on the actual time frame, but when you compared iRacing on the top screen, and on the bottom screen you had a feed of your real life car. Yeah, that just blew my mind. It blew my mind because I was an ACC guy. ACC.
That's okay.
I'm recently
We're
now.
Not all perfect. No, it can be fun. ACC can be fun. There's definitely, if you're going to be critical and pick it apart, there's obviously some issues.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it. Don't filter.
No, it's just the braking. That's it. And
I know the braking.
I've had this discussion with a few people, and obviously there's clans, right? People love their game. It's like anything in life, whether it's politics or
they'll
anything.
Defend it.
People have their team, right? Their sports team, and they're cheering for them no matter what.
Yep.
And
win or lose.
I don't really have a bias towards anything or anyone. I just look for whatever I feel is most intuitive to me as a guy who does it, right? I'm very privileged to be able to do this in real life. And I've driven so many different GT3 cars, so many different race cars. I know more or less what the car should be feeling like. Whether it's a different car that I've not driven, when it's in your hands, what it's supposed to feel like.
Yes.
Or when it's on your feet, the pedals. No sim is perfect. I can just say that straight up. No sim is perfect, but some get closer to reality than others. ACC is a fun game, but the way you drive it promotes really, really bad habits.
Yeah, they want
depending
you to
on
slam
you
on the
as a
brake,
driver,
like
because some
100%.
real life GT3 drivers will be like, yeah, actually, I like ACC more than iRacing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't see it, but then they'll see it, but probably because they feel more comfortable, right? They're like, oh, I'm better at this. This is the way I drive in real life. This is my style of driving.
It's a good
I'm
perspective.
not driving like that, right? I'm not aggressive on the brakes in terms of just letting the ABS do the work for me. I'm used to my single seater experience, no ABS, really breaking on the threshold and breaking on the adhesion of the tire, the grip that it has to offer, rather than letting the controls do it for me. ACC drivers tend to smash the brake at a very high peak pressure and hold that sustained peak pressure for a long time.
Yeah.
iRacing tends to have a more realistic braking curve, so you'll have the right timing on everything. So the way you ramp the pedal up, actually I made a video on YouTube about the 5 stages of the brake zone.
Yes.
Very, very good video.
Highly recommend, guys. Check that out.
That's maybe, I honestly think that's my best video I've made from like the most, I've been the most satisfied from that because of how I explain everything and how easy it is to understand what braking actually is. Because you hear these terms thrown all over the place, like, oh, brake point or trail brake. What's trail brake? Nobody knows what trail braking is. Everybody thinks trail brake is cut and paste.
Yeah.
I have
trail brake is like, it's
there's many stages to it. It's not one thing. Yeah.
And there's different situations that you would use different techniques of a trail brake.
Sometimes you'll lift instead of trail braking, or
100% lift earlier, for a longer period.
Yep.
It just gets the right balance on the car. It's all about balance, weight balance. So iRacing I find has a better overall braking package, but tires are not as good, let's say, as some other sims, maybe like a few others. So there's pros and cons.
There's trade-offs. Yeah.
100% there's trade-offs. And I'm not going to sit here and say one game is perfect, because there's no such thing. Every single one has their pros and cons. Most people prefer playing iRacing because I think it has a few things going for it. It has the biggest player base.
Yes.
Best multiplayer platform.
100%.
Most diversity. You can race whatever you want.
And they're always available. It doesn't matter what time it is.
Any time of the day. You can race anything you want.
And we're not sponsored by iRacing.
Not yet.
I mean,
not yet. Yeah.
We're welcome to it, but we're not.
But Daniel, I have a testimony. So I recently got my first podium in GT7. Right, I know it's like the red-headed stepchild.
Yay!
Nice.
And this
How
happened
was GT7?
after. So they recently had a major update, which upset a lot of people. And the people that were the happiest, ironically, were people that play iRacing, because one of the major changes they made were to the tire model and to the braking model. And people that were kind of like you were saying, used to slamming on brakes and not really paying attention to braking, there were memes of people just, as soon as the race starts, first corner, everybody just spins because nobody knew how to brake. You had to relearn how to brake. And I watched your video on brake zones, on contact patches and the importance of it and the things that impact it. And that was one of the things that made a big difference in my racing, even in GT7, just understanding the different dynamics. If you're going up a hill, if you're going down the hill, compression of the suspension, just all the different things that impact your ability to brake when you load the tires. I mean, it was interesting to hear you say that was the video you were the most proud of, because it was one of the most meaningful ones. I watched probably hundreds of videos since I started sim racing.
Yeah.
Not, like that one was like directly, like immediately I understood, like that makes sense. Like I when I'm driving, I see like the little patch in my head. And I'm like, when the car's dipping down, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit bigger. Got a little bit more to work with. It's that I can attest to the impact of that video, for real.
That's awesome.
I've been watching you, Eric, man, lately. You're improving big time.
Yeah.
I watched him the other day. He was up at like 4 a.m, Daniel. He was up at, I'm like, bro, don't you gotta like work tomorrow?
Hey,
he's like, bro, I
just watched the video. I got so much faster.
No, it happens when we record these. We re-record these videos, and then it's like, I just want to get in the car or the
Yeah.
sim, right? We don't have the car, but I just
Yeah.
want to get into sim. And I watched him, and I was like, "Are you driving this car? You're driving it way different." You know what I mean? And now I get to hear this. I mean, that's
Yeah.
awesome. You know
Yeah,
that.
man.
Look
Mount
where it came
Panorama,
from.
baby.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh,
nice
Mount
to
Panorama.
hear. I
Yeah.
actually, at all the races, I actually noticed this a lot since starting on YouTube. It's been a year and a bit now on YouTube. I haven't really been active this year because I've been gone. Like I said, 19 race weekends and all the testing in between. There's been like 35 days of testing on top of the 19 race weekends. So you imagine you're
Wow.
leaving for Asia, you leave on like a Monday or Tuesday. So like you're gone for a week, 7 days, 8 days. Europe is the same. Like there's no time. So this year I didn't really upload a lot, but at every track, no matter where I was, Japan, Malaysia, Italy, the amount of people that come up and say, "Oh, I love your YouTube channel." It's incredible. They're like, no joke, hundreds everywhere I go. Like even Japan, they couldn't even speak English to me. They were like, yeah, YouTube, good. I'm like,
You're that famous YouTube driver, aren't you?
yeah,
You're
I was
the-
like,
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. Like,
I
That is cool
occasionally
as
drive
hell,
real
man.
cars too.
No, and the quality of your production is definitely there. I mean,
Yes.
definitely. It's
So
definitely.
all the I'm just going to jump in here. So all the you're talking of how it's iRacing's accurate. ACC's got a little bit off. Is there anything that you worry about creating bad habits in the sim that you can carry over into the real car? Is that a real thing? From somebody that has real experience in both.
100%. Like ACC, like I was telling you, I did Spa 24. I never actually got in the car 2 years ago in 2022, but they had a sim competition on the Spa 24 weekend, and nobody wanted to do it. None of the drivers were like, new guy, he's going to do it. So I'm wondering why, right?
Little did you know.
Yeah, well, I ended up doing this race on ACC, and the way you need to drive is quite a bit different from like the tempo of braking compared to the real car. So yeah, I mean, I got in the real car again, and for let's say Pouin, at Spa, it's a fast left-hander. It's like a double left. In ACC, you have to spike to 100%, like on off, to trigger the ABS so it doesn't over rotate. So you basically kill off the front axle by spiking ABS, so it turns in with a lot of front. It's weird the way it works. That's on the last patch. So whatever it is now, it's a little bit different, but still very similar. Maybe not as much. And all the fanboys of ACC are like, it's the greatest update ever. It's like, no, I drove
actually,
it again.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better for
1.
sure.
1.9 is the worst. Actually, it's 1.7 was the best update, in my opinion. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I can't remember which one it was, but I got back into the real car, and the habit, the subconscious input was to spike the pedal, and I nearly spun out.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it did affect you, man. Damn.
It did. And it took me a few laps to like recalibrate myself in terms of like the finesse on the brake. For a fast corner, it's an early light brake because you don't want to pitch the platform down. You don't want the front to be too active. So very, very different. iRacing, the like I said, braking, very good. The tires and the way you have to hustle the car in the corner is a little bit different. But I prefer that because it encourages a more precise, accurate driving style. So when you go to the real car and you dance it a bit more, you get away with it. So the braking is all similar, but the way you can hustle the car and get away with it, there's just more that you can take. You never want to be over aggressive or over prepped, over hyped for something. You want to be able to build into it. If you're already way over the limit, it's so much harder to come back down.
Yeah.
Actually, it's harder to go from GT3 to GT4 than it is from GT4 to GT3.
Interesting.
Because to drive the car aggressive, it's easy. You just like, okay, I need to push harder. Just attack more, brake later, smash the brakes harder, whatever it is. In GT4, to be more finesse, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I have to throw this in there. I purchased both cars on iRacing, the AMG cars.
Yeah.
And I'm not a GT4 fan, and I'm slowly becoming a fan of GT4 racing because it's a little more close together, if you know what I mean. It's very aggressive when it comes to the actual racing. I actually enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot, man. Really, it's awesome.
I love GT4 racing.
Yeah,
like
GT4
doing
is
both of
dope.
them now. GT4 racing is for sure the best platform of racing. No downforce. I mean, you can lose the splitter; it does nothing. It's just weight off the car. The wings are
Just delete
pretend.
it.
They're pretend wings. They're not real.
Oh, it's just pretend. It's like, oh, it's
they're just there for
but...
show. So like, no, the racing's unbelievable. You can race nose to tail. There's no aero wash. In iRacing, the aero wash is nowhere near as bad in GT3 as it is in real life.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, you'll see guys deviating lines to try to get air to the front, to the splitter and the dive planes. It's so sensitive. So, like for instance, Monza was just racing in Monza. In Parabolica, if you catch the dirty air of the car in front of you on the exit, you just drive straight off. It's like crazy. You have grip, grip, and it's like
no grip.
It's like as if someone just lifts the car off the ground. It's wild the way it drastically changes like that.
That's
so you really need to. You'll see a lot of guys in real life taking half the car underneath the car in front of them, so they won't release it fully off the corner. They'll try to stay half a car underneath to get air to the front. Otherwise, it has a lift effect. So the front comes off, and you it's so bad that you have to lift off the throttle to get the weight back down to get the splitter working again.
That's a lot going on, man.
That's cool.
That's a lot going on.
So with GT4, you can literally be underneath the rear bumper of the car in front, and it's like, you just hustling the thing sideways, slipping and sliding. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
But driving GT3 is a better driving solo experience. Just having the downforce, being able to brake hard and late is awesome. GT4, it requires more finesse, and you watch the video, so the ramp angle, the way you have to attack the brake is a lot slower. So you have to build that pressure slower in, but you can really brake hard once you have the weight settled up over the front tire.
Yes,
because it's so heavy and all the weight's off the front. You really need to give the front enough time to settle, and then you can brake. But with GT3, it's super stiff, so there's not a lot of weight shift to the back. The car is being sucked down, especially if you have a higher downforce configuration. Wild. It's sucked down. You just bam. You can smash the brake in GT3 to
to your heart's content.
We're not working in like kilograms. We work in bar, so pressure on the master cylinder. We're giving it like 120 bar of pressure. It's probably with the G assist, like if you take the G's away, because that's something you don't think about in sim racing, you're static, right? You don't have G force. So we get like 2 to 3 G's under braking. So imagine your foot's 2 to 3 times heavier.
Wow.
Oh,
so in the sim, everyone's like, oh, but the real car, it's like 120 kilograms of force. It's like, no, it's not, because it's actually a third of that.
But it's the G's that are changing,
compensating.
That's crazy.
Wow, we all got learned on.
Yeah, we did. Even with
that's why I set mine up
platforms.
at like 58 kilograms. My SimuCube active pedal, I have 58 kilograms because that's kind of like the right feeling for me for what it's like to drive the real car.
So Jeff can attest to this. Remember, Jeff, I was telling you, I started using 90 kg. I use the settings, and I dialed that way down to this. I'm in the 60s. I'm not quite in the 50s. And I find that
58, 60.
Yeah, I can finesse the brake more.
Yeah.
And ACC, I mean, it don't matter, but iRacing, I definitely notice it because it's just smoother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah. You have to be more consistent because you don't have to apply so much pressure.
Well, you're using smaller muscles, right? Your big muscle you use for that initial peak, but you're not straining yourself, so you have a lot more finesse and control on the pedal.
Yeah, that was one thing that helped me too.
Right,
was dialing that down.
Yeah,
because at first,
misconception in sim racing, everyone thinks you need stiff pedal, short travel. But if you watch any of my videos on YouTube, sometimes I'll show the actual travel of my race car. I made some shorts as well on Instagram. Yeah. The pedal moves a lot. It goes
long.
I have
it's
my
a long travel
set to 70 millimeters, so it's 7 centimeters of travel.
Man,
right? it's quite a long distance.
Yeah, but you got a lot of control and variable.
Think about it.
variability in
It's if you have this range to control all the pressure, as opposed to like that range, you have a very small window to get 100% of the pressure.
And
there. Can't be consistent.
And I will say this, for those people that run SimiCube like myself, I have Daniel Morad's profile installed, at least on my wheelbase. And I use that religiously, just because I like, I like the fact that it was made from someone that actually drives, the cars and stuff like that.
It's personal preference as well, right?
Yes.
The wheelbase settings, it's not going to give you more grip on the track. It's literally just a feeling thing. Some people like it, some people don't. I have a lot of damping on my wheel. I love that it's dampened. I have motion. I have the D-box. So I feel a lot of the road texture through my body. I don't need it through my hands. So I get, I really like to feel the understeer. So for instance, on SimiCube, I'll dial in my static force reduction. And what that does is it actually helps me feel when the front tire is slipping, it gets really light, right? So it actually, I can feel the understeer in the front tire. Yeah. And I have my inertia dialed in. So when the rear snaps, I can really catch it quickly.
So when I plan on getting these pedals, and when I do,
the pedals are
they worth it? Because I'm running
100% worth it.
Really?
No, I hate to say that because then people have to spend more money. But like,
my wallet's screaming right now. No,
they should set a goal to eventually have that piece in their sim racing setup, because it actually does make a difference. Even for amateur drivers, it really helps you have a lot more control. It's with all the other stuff removed from it. So like ABS and vibration and this and that, it is the most precise pedal I've ever used. It's very, very accurate. And it doesn't wear out because there's no elastomers.
Yes, so this is true.
It just lasts forever. It should, in theory, last for.
Yeah, and if you're like me, I play multiple sims. You can have settings dialed in for each sim. You don't have to turn a wrench, bro. Like at all. Everything's electronic.
That is the most underrated thing. Not only is it just the precision, but the ease of use. Clicking a profile, you want to use a prototype driver's profile, which there's prototype profiles loaded. Tony Kanaan, you want to use his IndyCar profile? Boom, one button.
I know. And it's a good starting point. I know you said it's personal preference, but it's a good place to start, right? And you can always make a copy of the profile and then manipulate it to your liking. But I mean, that's what I've done with Dan Suzuki's profiles too. I run his profiles as well. Those are pretty good. Yeah. And well, just one more question on the sim racing while we're at it here, while I'm on topic. Do you drive exclusively the AMG and iRacing? Like both? No.
So
I think maybe you get tired of the same car.
Well, I'll explain. Like the GT4, yes. For me, best GT4 car. It just drives correctly. It's the nicest GT4 car. I think any amateur driver that's looking to do GT4, that's the best one you can drive. It's the most balanced, it's most intuitive. It just does everything you expect it to do. And I feel like it comes easy, right? Controlling the car and getting the speed out of it. GT3, on the other hand, was good when we initially launched it. I was on the alpha team for that car. So we designed the GT3.
Oh, wow. So, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was at a time where the tire was a little too quick because of the way the aero load on the tire was affecting the grip. So you would end up getting like way more aerodynamic grip than you should be getting. So for instance, turn 1 at Road Atlanta, you do in 5th gear, but in real life, you're doing it in 3rd. So it's like, 3rd, 4th, like
that is a big difference, man.
Yeah. Like Daytona bus stop, you do it like top of 4th gear, but really it's a 3rd gear corner, the bus stop at Daytona. So you get way more aero grip, but the balance of the car was fantastic. It was the way it should be driving. Had a little bit of understeer, very stable. The rear was super locked down and secure. Even on throttle, it never spun up the rear tires and snapped the rear. Now it kind of feels disconnected. So if you drive the car, some tracks it feels okay, and some other tracks it's like, man, do I have like McDonald's shopping trays on the rear tires? Like, what's going on?
Wow.
It feels so disconnected. as if I have rain tires on the rear. So I don't know what's going on there. And I think through the evolution of the tire and the BOP changes and the aero changes that happened on the car, something went a bit wacky there. So it's difficult for me to drive it right now. And it stinks because I love the car. It's my favorite GT3 in real life that I've ever driven. I've driven the Lexus, the Audi, the Porsche, and Mercedes. And Mercedes is every driver will tell you that's driven that car, it's the nicest to drive. Is it the fastest? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Very nice for a gentleman driver to get up to speed and be close on lap time. Like anything, very difficult to extract the maximum potential out of it because it requires a certain driving style to get the most out of it. Very smooth. Whenever you watch an AMG onboard, you'll never see the wheel being worked like this. It's always one precise input to load the front tire because it's such a big, heavy car, long nose.
Long nose, yeah.
And so much weight over the front. It's very soft as well. Very soft platform. So when you turn in, you cannot turn in multiple times because then you get this weight shifting and moving and wobbling. So when you see an AMG driver fast, it looks like they're just doing a reconnaissance lap. Going in, one time, turn in, and it goes.
Like he's driving a Maybach or something. That's crazy.
That's what it is. I love that. It's, for me, precision driving is my style. I'm
Finesse.
very, very precise on the brake, the way I build the brake pressure in, the way I put the weight on the front tire. When I turn in, the timing of choosing the right turn-in point, and boom, hit it.
That's it.
Porsche drivers different. You know, you'll see Porsche drivers really like nervous.
Yes,
set,
the Porsches try
go.
to kill you.
Right? So Porsche drivers with all the weight moving in the back, there's a lot of corrections. They're doing like 8 times more work than we are. You know, we brake, and that's what I loved about it on iRacing was that it was so stable, and you could just turn in one time. Now it's like, what is traction for 400? You know,
that's insane.
It's difficult. It really drives me
crazy.
After
this show, I'm gonna jump in the car again and see. I'm gonna be staring.
You'll see.
Down.
So, like, if I'm gonna give a breakdown of all the cars, I would say right now the McLaren feels very good. It's the newest car.
Yes.
Boy.
That drives correct. It has a little bit of understeer off the corner like it should. Most cars have understeer.
Thank you so much.
Man. Look,
that's our favorite car.
About this guy, man.
Jeff and I, Jeff, unmute your mic. Come on, Jeff.
Dude, dude, Jason sent this week. I think I've got 20 livery design updates from Jason for the McLaren on iRacing.
Nice.
Yeah, I come out of work. I got new pictures to look at.
Oh yeah.
And I just hit him up.
Good.
Yeah.
Porsche feels good for the most part. Ferrari is decent, but yeah.
So it feels true, guys. We heard it from the man himself.
Mercedes, sometimes it's weird though. Some tracks, I'm like, oh, this feels good, and then I go to some other tracks, I'm like, what is this? Like, do I even have rear tires on the car?
Did I pick the wrong car?
Yeah, like I actually had to go back to the menu sometimes to see if the rain tires are on. Like,
I've done that before too,
bad.
man.
And it sucks. Like, as an AMG driver, I want, and I'm hoping that we can get it, ironed out. I think there's things happening. There are things in the works. I know that they're working on a new tire update, which just like the rain, everyone's like, "Where's the rain? Where's the rain? Where's the rain?" Rain comes out, best thing ever. Like, it's happening a bit too frequently.
Okay, when you say best thing,
let's not get
ever,
carried away,
bro,
that's
like it's the best thing ever when I'm by myself. But
when I'm watching somebody else do it, it's the best thing ever.
Bro,
it's okay. You see how difficult that is?
Yeah, super difficult, man.
Imagine doing the same thing, but with like real life consequences. Like, it's literally 1-to-1. Like, it's so accurate. It's crazy. It really is. They did an amazing job on the rain, the Tempest model, like modeling the puddles. Maybe the rain can be too extreme sometimes and they race in it. Normally it would be red flag. Like when you're hydroplaning down the straight, you don't race in that. It's so dangerous.
It's crazy what the wheel does though when you go over the puddles like that. It's like you don't feel nothing and the car is not turning, it's not stopping, it's not doing anything. And then you just suddenly get the grip back and you're like, oh my God. Wrong angle.
It's exactly like that in real life. So they did a really good job on it. So I'm sure, good things take time. So
there you go. I mean, it's a good Yeah.
the tires are being worked on. They know that it's a weak point, and I think that whatever's coming will probably be pretty good. They have enough resources, and that's why
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sure they do. Especially,
Yeah.
trust me, with Jeff and I, we're definitely fun. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, aren't we all?
I know we're definitely throwing
One
cash at the
I think
big
that
time.
we touched on the fact that you can race anytime, anything you want around the world, any time zone.
It's worth every penny.
Yeah,
in
but
my opinion.
that comes at a cost,
Yeah.
right? The servers are expensive. People think that iRacing is just raking it in. I'm sure iRacing is doing very well, but we pay for a premium service. That's why there's a membership fee. That's why there's a fee for every car and track. There's a lot of work that goes in. I know how much work goes into it because I was part of one of the builds, and it's impressive. They really go to great lengths to make sure things are accurate, and they'll correct things. Recently at Spa, they just launched the new Spa, and there were a few things that were not accurate with the track. So I sent over some of my onboards, and I had some pictures from the track. I sent it through to them, and they just went in and straight away fixed it.
Yeah, we just had a patch. Not
So
recently.
turn 1 exit curb was incorrect. They actually had no curb there. It was just a little strip of tarmac. So they put the red sausage curb in. Turn 8 was incorrect because there were actually patches of little green curbs like on the inside of the red and white rumble strip in turn 8 Brussels. Turn 12 and 13 was incorrect because they never had the brick curb behind the curb itself.
This is a lot of corrections, Dan. Like, it's a lot. Like, I
So I
thought you
just
meant
took
just
screenshots of like onboard video I had and like sent it to the art team, and they're like,
that's not quite.
the patch came in like 5 days later. I was like, oh, that's quick.
Yeah, somebody got yelled at, I'm pretty sure.
Nah, I mean, it can be easily missed. Even with the cars, some of the cars you'll notice there's corrections with the way the window nets are and things like that. What was cool is they came back to me after we did the AMG build, and just to verify after one of my race weekends, like, hey, just double check that the art was correct and that the car was accurate in terms of everything visual, sitting in the cockpit. And yeah, it's cool that they went to those lengths to make sure that everything was right.
Okay.
That's awesome. So
all right.
Keep it on sim racing.
Thank you so much. Wait a minute. First and foremost, thank you so much on behalf of the iRacing community for making our track experience as, close to real life as possible, and for teaching us how to brake, man. Thank you so much,
Braking
Daniel.
is most important.
Yeah.
Yes. The biggest difference.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys see me still here, but I'm shaking in the chair, man. This is awesome. But go ahead, Eric. Go ahead and continue. Let's get that next question on.
Yeah, man. So this is just talking about the sim racing kit. In your opinion, what is the most important piece of your setup when it comes to driving fast? Because I think a lot of people get caught up in immersion, and I think there's a fine line between something that's immersive and something that actually makes you faster. So in your opinion, if I'm building a rig, like what's like bare minimum if I want to be fast?
Fast? I mean, I made a video on the upgrade path because people get it wrong. Everyone thinks you need pedals first or triple screens or something. No, you need a rig. You build a house on a strong foundation. You don't build it in quicksand.
Preach it.
A rig is the most important. Whether you have G29 pedals and wheel, if you're on the floor, you just take that whole setup, put it onto a proper racing position, a rig that's sturdy enough that's not going to flex or move. Immediately you're going to find more precision, because now you're not trying to make sure that you're not moving the pedal. You can actually push the pedal with the input that you're looking for.
Without having to compensate. Yes.
First piece of gear that you should be upgrading is your foundation, and everything else you add as you go. So if you're serious about sim racing, get rid of your office chair or your foldy chair. If that's all you have and that's all you can fit, that's what you have to work with. But the moment you have the opportunity to get a proper rig, like an 80-20 rig, I'm with ASR. I stand by these guys. My rig's ASR. Best company, not just the material, because I verified with multiple manufacturers. Not only is it the best metal, but it's the thickest, most sturdy rig. that doesn't creak and crack, and the metal is like twice as thick as anything I've seen comparing it to the other brands.
And you're in talks with them, right? ASR, like do you know them? Like,
oh yeah, I'm a partner. Like I actually signed a deal with
Okay.
them to represent ASR as an ambassador.
Oh, awesome.
No, I mean, I chose this because I had multiple, I'm in a privileged position because I do this in real life. I race, and these companies want real life drivers to give feedback, and I'm in a unique spot, right? I sim race, I'm passionate about it, and I also do real racing. So obviously there's not many guys that do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very valuable.
So
But
can you
for me,
please,
when I want to work with
talk to
someone,
them?
it's not about money, right?
Tell them to ship to Hawaii because they don't ship over here. And I just had to get that out. Jeff, can you? We're hurting over here. We got sim racers in Hawaii too, man.
Yeah, we'll pay for the shipping. You just
I'm sure they can. I'm sure ASR can make it happen.
Yeah. So
But
they're free to the
no, I mean, I ended up
ASR
choosing.
win.
I wanted to work with them.
We got
I
lower
heard
48 problems. We do. Oh man.
Yeah, no, they're just good people. I mean, that's the moral of the story. Good people, trustworthy, great customer service. What more can you ask for?
Yeah,
Like, when you put your name on something, you want to make sure that it's having the same values you have.
Yeah.
I
Equality.
think we're learning now that
Obviously,
people are willing to...
there's going to be people that are unreasonable in life, but thankfully there aren't many of them.
Right.
And everyone deals with it. ASR deals with it. We deal with it. But, for the most part, they're so accommodating to everyone. And I love that they are on top of it. They understand sim racing. They're honest. They're not price gougers. They literally are offering such a good product for the value.
Yeah, I can attest. I bought my first, that same path. I had the G29. I had the office chair. I was bolting it to a little wooden rig I made. And when I finally decided to purchase an actual rig, looking at everybody and the prices, it's like, oh, this is a good price, but it costs how much to ship? $250, $300. That's a whole nother rig. And I just came across ASR one day and I'm like, I didn't really hear much about them. You hear a lot about the track racers and stuff like that. Started watching videos, testimonies, and you look at the pricing. I'm like, this is a great price, especially for an entry-level rig, free shipping, quick shipping, got the box
next
here.
day.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like a diamond in the rough. Because I was looking for weeks. And just one day I was deep enough in the YouTube rabbit hole. Like this guy had a video from like 6 years ago talking about an ASR rig. And I'm like, I hadn't heard of them. As soon as I put it in, some other stuff came up. And then I started hearing testimonies about people like you, there was someone else we interviewed who had an ASR rig, and I'm like, so they're
sim racing then, Mike?
Yeah. Man.
Good
so
man.
Mike's awesome.
Yeah,
I
Mike,
love
shout
what
out to
he's
Mike.
doing, too. He's really killing it on YouTube.
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's
I'm
another
jealous. He got
great
that
guy.
Mercedes wheel video.
It was hot. I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I always see. I mean, I'm locked into his whatever the algorithm is. I'm tied into that one because videos are boom, right on the news feed. It's good.
Yeah, but I can, like I said, I can attest to ASR. I have the ASR 1, which is their base model rig. I'm not a small guy. I have a seat out of a Honda Civic that I got off of Facebook Marketplace that I bolted to it, and Sim Magic Alpha 15 Newton meter wheel, pedals, and it's rock solid.
There you
Even
go,
at
man.
the entry level. Yeah,
That's awesome. It's not what you have; it's what you do with it.
There
There's
you
another
go.
cliche
There
for
you go. That's number 5. We're up to 5 now.
I thought it was like 6. Now that was 7.
Well, you only
Carry
get
one.
10.
Not gonna
Daniel.
short you. We'll
On the
give you
Chicane
6.
Podcast, we're limited on those. We need to be careful.
Just kidding. Hey, do you ever talk to your fellow competitors? What percentage of people out there of your fellow racers are using sims to get faster, better, more consistent, whatever it may be, not just as, it's fun to do when I'm not racing for real?
I don't know how many actually are using it as like a proper training tool, because I'll use it with my teammates to prepare for races. Maybe not on the pro level stuff. So in Europe, we're not really training together, but in the US for GT4, I drive with Bryce Ward. quite a bit. Like we do probably 12 hours of sim racing with the Moradness M squad, which is our sim racing team.
The M
We have like
squad. I love
30
that.
guys in there, 30 drivers. Some are more serious than others, but the goal is for, to develop these drivers. We've taken guys from 2K to 8,500 iRating and racing top split podium.
8,500.
Yeah. We just recently podiumed with two of our drivers.
Damn.
They were both 2K like a year and a half ago. Now they're in the 8,000 range, and they podiumed in LMP2 and top split in Indy 6 hour.
Wow.
So Nate Olson and Alec Bergstrom. So two guys that joined the team to develop, and just incredible to see how they've progressed. And, they're faster than I am now. It's crazy.
Is that still open for others to join?
So it started, the Moradness M squad started as a open, anybody could do it, like could join in. It was supposed to be for like casual races with our tighter, more intimate community.
Exploded.
And, at the time it was like a gem, right? We didn't know what it was supposed to become, but with the members, it was all of us together brainstorming, like, what could we do? It's like, oh, let's do some special events together. Oh, let's do this. Then it started to turn into more of an academy. Like, oh, well, actually, let's turn this into like some coaching, and we'll do group coaching with some of our coaches. So Giuliano Romagnolo is one of my very good friends in real life, and he's a coach and helps organize the team with myself. And we have another driver, Dion Fiallo, who's he drives with BS competition, but he's like the core of our group in terms of helping with setups, nothing that really conflicts with what he's doing, but he'll help with setups on our LMP3 cars, LMP2. And he also just helps the guys on a more technical level, which is cool, teaching them how to set up their own cars and how to make adjustments. And I'll do a lot of the driver coaching, so really technical stuff, and helping the guys understand how to race, how to drive,
right,
how to brake properly. Obviously, you get a snippet of like the free coaching, but we go on a much more in-depth level, and I really dissect people's telemetry in our team. And Giuliano, we call him Stu. Long story with his name, but he's really active with the guys. Yeah, how do you get an Italian guy, Giuliano Romagnolo? How do you get him to like Stu? How does that happen? Yeah, that's a story.
I go
you
by
want to
Stu,
hear,
man.
Not for today. Yeah, so it's just an amazing group, and
this is iRacing only, right? iRacing.
It's invite only. iRacing predominantly. Some guys play ACC for fun, but we're really gearing everything towards iRacing, and it's for development. And it's invite only now. People are, you got to see the amount of requests we get is flattering. It's really nice, and we appreciate that. But we pick and choose the personalities that will fit correctly in our team. We don't just open it to anybody because it's a selfless group. Yeah. Everybody is helping each other. If somebody comes in, it's like, what can you do for me? Me, do for me. We don't do that. We help each other. People are in need. We get together and we help, whoever it is. Somebody goes through a hurricane, gets their stuff flooded. We fund a rig for that person. Like, this is it's a brotherhood, it's amazing. Yeah. We go to the races together. A bunch of them are coming to Atlanta for the last IMSA race. A lot of the guys flew out to Motorsport for the IMSA race there. And, we'll do group dinners together. It's like a family, it's really, really cool. It's become way more than just guys coming in for development. We're hanging out every night. I was on Discord with the guys before I came on the show.
Yeah.
We play fantasy football together.
That's awesome, bro.
We become very good friends. All of us are great friends, even in real life. So
when is the Atlanta IMSA race?
October 10, 11, 12, 13 weekend.
Man. Okay. That's during my kids' fall break. We got a vacation plan. I'm like 4 hours from Atlanta. Man. I was just there. Been there a couple times.
Best racetrack.
Family there.
Atlanta's the best. We do a barbecue on Friday night, M Squad barbecue. So actually, my team owner, Bryce Ward, he brings in steaks from Texas.
You guys can come over to Hawaii, and check out the Chicane Podcast over here.
We'll smoke something up in the smoker.
Well, they all got to drive my race car, the GT4 car. 16 of them. So Bryce last year,
I'm so jealous right
as
now,
a
man.
gift. I think
As you go on, I'm like, damn, I
rubbing it in barbecue, driving race
at
cars.
first, it goes to show
Steaks
you,
from Texas.
the people that took the blind chance to join the team are reaping the benefits now. Because, I mean, some guys got full rig builds, like chassis, pedals, steering, everything. You know, we'll just do fun things like that. I've helped a few guys out, surprise them with full builds, and you know, it's for me, it's not about what I'm getting from these guys. I don't care. I love hanging out. It's like a social group, and I really want to see the people that are putting in a lot of work. I want to see them do well. So if
That's
I see
awesome,
someone
man.
really helping
Wow.
others and being really selfless, but also putting in a lot of work towards their own driving and developing, you want to help that person. You want to see them do the best they can.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
That's amazing.
and some people are less fortunate than others. You know, not everyone's a doctor or a lawyer or a race car driver or an astronaut or whatever. Some people are doing different jobs, and that's the stage, you know, that they're at in their life, and they're doing something they love. They love sim racing, and you want to help these people out, especially if they're helping others and they're being selfless. It's just, you want to see those kind of people do well.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
awesome, man. Yeah.
That's great to hear, man.
Yeah.
So,
And it's invite only, because like I said, when people, they hear these stories like, fuck, I want to get a free rig from this guy, I want to drive his GT4. You know how many people say like, oh, I could go faster than these guys, like, and that's exactly why you're never going to join the team.
Yeah.
Because nobody talks like that. We never compete against each other like, I'm better than you. You know, we'll have banter, and we tease each other in a friendly, like, loving way. But when it comes down to it, every single person will, you know, lay down for the other in front of the train.
You
know?
got your
That's
backs.
rare. Yeah, that's rare.
It's really cool. And when they're not like that, we kick them out. It's it's just the way it is. We're not going to have a cancer in the team environment.
Yes, you want to control.
And this is how it is in life. In race teams, if you have someone who's really disrupting the environment, all it takes is one broken link for the entire circuit to not work.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's for any team. You got that dynamic, that culture established. When one person comes in and ruins it for everybody. So
you got to have that good culture, and that's what we really pride ourselves
I've never
on.
heard of a group like this. This is honestly the first time I've never. This is insane.
It's rare.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare.
30,
and it's
guys.
special.
I take it for granted because I'm like, oh, whatever, it's cool, it's fun. But the guys really, even for like their mental health, people go through slumps, people go through bad, you know, life experiences, whatever it may be. The first people they come to is the team, the M squad. So it's so cool. You know, obviously we don't want anyone to go through bad times, but you have a group of people that you can lean on and that can really pull you out of a hole. So I know some of the guys have said, if I never had the M squad, I don't know where I'd be. Like, I'd be in a bad place. So when I hear those kind of stories, it actually is so nice for me to hear, to see what, you know, my wife and I have started, and with the help of all our friends and everyone that's been along the way with us for the journey, it's been really, really cool. Super honored.
I think everybody should try to.
Lucky to have, even for myself, when I'm traveling on a road trip, I drive to Indianapolis for 8 hours. I'm on Discord the whole time talking to the boys. So it's cool, even for me.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear this, man.
Yeah.
So
and it's awesome they got to drive the GT4, because a lot of them were actually pretty good, like shockingly good. 6-7
like you're like,
total.
hey, you're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the YouTube video to see how they actually did, because I did an experience as a whole, like for how they drove and then whatever, and the whole trip. And then we also did a little breakdown of their onboard videos, and some of the guys were close.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's we don't. Yeah, man, that's crazy. This is the first time I'm hearing this about, like in-depth detail about the group. That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So for the next question, moving on, where do you see yourself as a driver from 2 to 4 years from now? Where do you see yourself headed is the question.
Hopefully to a watch store to get a bigger safe.
Hey, I'm with
That's
it.
the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Add to the collection. Huh?
That's a good answer. I like it. I can respect that. I can get behind that.
No, I mean, I love what I'm doing. It's so much fun. I'm enjoying myself. I'm kind of taking it race by race, day by day, but yeah, racing in good programs, winning races, big races, having a bigger presence in sim racing, expanding our glove sales into potentially karting, which is something we haven't been able to do. We just don't have the bandwidth, so we're trying to get our gloves into more karting tracks, on more karting drivers' hands, and just keep pushing the company, because at the end of the day, like, the company is an amazing future. After racing, we leveraged racing to create such an amazing business that's going to go on for years and years.
Okay.
So yeah, as a driver, winning whatever I can in whatever program I can race in, as long as I'm fast and I feel like I'm competitive, I'll keep racing. I hate losing, and I don't want to be slow. So if I feel like I can't do it anymore at the highest level, then I'm not interested. Like I said, love racing, but I love winning at whatever I'm doing in life more, and the process in terms of like how you get to that level of success. I really like that I guess the work ethic that's required, and the process of getting to victory lane. That's fun for me.
Yeah, that feedback loop of seeing the work pay off.
All right, Daniel, my last question for you is, what's your favorite motorsport memory? So we have a video here, and I wanted to show you this because this is me when I get a podium in iRacing. So is A, what's your favorite motorsport memory? And B, is this you also in the rig when you're winning iRacing or with the boys? So we'll play this out for the crowd here. But this is me in the rig here when I win. So we're podium. So probably a pretty emotional event for you here. So this is me in like a Thursday night at 11 o'clock as I'm getting ready to go to bed after beating a bunch of people I don't know in iRacing. But yeah, so what's your favorite motorsport memory?
This? I mean, how can it not be?
You want to tell the crowd what this is, that if they can't read the bottom there?
So the Rolex 24 win this year, I got the chance to bring the car for the final stint and bring the car across the line. It wasn't just a walk in the park. It was a super, super intense battle with the Ferrari for the last like 38 minutes of the race on a restart. And like in the end, what made it even sweeter is the fact that they were caught not playing within the scope of the rules in terms of BOP. They found some extra performance, which they got fined and docked all their manufacturer points after. So that made it even sweeter to know that we did it fair and square against someone that was playing outside of the rules. And it was the best drive of my life by far. Like, it was zero mistakes, just quali lap beyond quali laps. It's like, when you hear, not to compare with like Senna or things like that, but you hear these stories of people driving outside of their body, outside of the car. It really felt like I wasn't driving. It felt like I wasn't even in control. I was just gliding around, and it just was glued. Like, the car was glued, not one mistake, not one misput wheel anywhere. And it was the most clinical drive of my entire life for that 38-minute period. From the green flag on that last restart to the checkered flag, it was insane. The intensity level was something like you can't even imagine. So,
just in the moment.
Super awesome. The other thing that can maybe compare with that, not quite at the same level, but the world championship that I won in karting, go-karting, that was also pretty intense because started way back in the field. In the pre-final, we were dead last. And in the final, started 13th and ended up winning the world championship of karting on the final lap, final corner of the race. That was also a pretty wild finish. And I ended in the fence because the tie rod broke. Yeah, wasn't my fault, thankfully. I thought it was, but the thread on the tracking rod broke, and like both wheels opened up. I have a video or a picture of both tires pointing outward, and I ended up binning it hard, but I still won the race, so it was all good. But no, Daytona this year by far, like
Hell yeah,
greatest
man.
moment of my life, and you could see that emotion.
Oh,
Not an
absolutely.
emotional guy in the car at all. When I'm racing, I'm just dialed in. I'm an information. I'm a numbers guy. Give me information. I execute on information. Doesn't matter what other people are doing. Doesn't matter if I make a mistake. I have no emotions. I'm a zombie. But when you're dialed in so tight for that amount of time, and it's a 24-hour race, the whole thing went perfectly to plan, and then you have the most intense finish set up with a car that's quicker than you. That's the emotion you see there. It's just a release, as if you're in a war zone and you've just come out victorious. You know, it's the most intense moment of your life, and that's the reaction you have. So I couldn't control it. I just kept screaming. I didn't even know I was on
You had
camera.
to let it out, man.
It's awesome. I mean,
that's beautiful.
It's like
man.
you can just see the emotion pouring out
It's genuine.
of you in the seat. Absolutely, that's the right word. It's just genuine.
Yeah.
Like, you know that you're not doing it for the money, the fame, whatever, you know, YouTube views, whatever. It's just pure, unadulterated emotion of hard work and, you know, little blood, sweat, and tears, and culmination of all that stuff. So, man, like, good on you. You can just see it. It's awesome. You're, you know, happy, work hard. It was cool. It's a cool video. It brought a smile to my face.
I would say it's all the hard years of not making it and just always having to prove yourself. It's like, now I don't care to prove myself. I don't need to prove myself. I already know. I know what I can do. I know my worth. I've known it for a long time. But that was like the seal of approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
For myself, not for anybody else.
The final
but
stop.
that I could get that done. The biggest race on the biggest stage in the most pressure cooker moment.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And you got the thing to prove it, right?
Yeah.
That was purely for nobody else other than me. And that's what I wanted to achieve. I wanted that moment. We won Daytona before. Did it my first ever time doing Daytona. It was an amazing effort as a team, as was this one. This was a fantastic team effort. But being on both sides of it, winning the race, you know, doing my part in the race and being in the pit lane, seeing my teammate bring the car across the line, it was incredible. We were all crying then. Like, tears were coming down our face. But it was a different level of emotion. You know, you could accept it for a long period of time. You know, you could see it was developing, was happening. But when you're driving, it's not happened until you cross the line. Like, you're so engaged in it, and that it was such a different experience. So really lucky, not only to win it one time, but to do it twice in two different capacities. One being in the, you know, doing my part in the race and handing the car over to the finishing driver, and then also to be the finishing driver, to have all the whole race that was set up for that moment for you to bring it home. That was cool.
Has anybody,
that's
how often does that happen? I'm just curious. Like, somebody wins essentially having
people do it for 20 years and they don't win. That's the thing. Like, speaking to some veteran drivers, they're like, man, you don't understand. You've won it twice now. Some people have been doing this for a long time. They don't even win it once. And
that's crazy.
I was lucky. I won it the very first attempt, 2017. We won the race. So I was like, boom, that was awesome. So cool. But I always wanted to win it as the last guy too.
Yeah.
Because
when across that line,
it's a lottery, right? The 24 hours a lottery for the entire race until the very end. Then it's
anything can happen, man. And that's the thing. Anything can happen. That's crazy, man.
And those are the best drivers in the world, right? The very end of the race, everyone's putting their hot shoe in, and it's like the last sprint, 15 cars on the lead lap at the very end. That was incredible. 15 cars on the lead lap after 24 hours.
That's
Restart with 38 minutes left, and it's like it's all up for grabs.
That's wild. Could have saved everybody like 23 hours and 20 minutes. Just started with a 1 lap, hot lap, or 30 minutes to go.
That's crazy.
Man.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Emotional
Then
moment with us.
you'd be too fresh.
That's true. That is
You
absolutely
need to be
true.
emotionally, mentally, physically destroyed.
So there's no endurance in that, right?
Checks out.
It sounds about right. I think it makes sense.
And then you can't control your emotions at one point because you don't even know what planet you're on.
Nah, but you earned that, man. You earned that. You were really modest about it, I believe. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you're informational. You don't really talk on the radio, but it was that one moment, and that's your moment. That is a key moment in probably for your entire life, I think.
100%. I'm taking that forever. And
As
the
you
watch
should.
is such a cool trophy because it's a reminder of like the achievement that you have and all the hard work along the way. Like that's the coolest thing ever. People offered to buy this watch off me for over 100,000, and there's no chance I'm going to sell it.
No,
Because like I told you guys, money is not the most important thing to me. My family is the most important, first of all, and personal accomplishments really important. These pieces are pieces you keep with you forever. They mean way more than money can ever offer. Money's empty. Money, okay, can get you the opportunity to have more fun in certain situations. They're like fun coupons,
right?
But like
fun coupons.
That's a part of your soul, right?
Yeah.
It's not just material. It's like literally a part of your soul now. It's a part of your journey, your whole life's journey. So never going to sell these pieces. And hopefully I can pass them down to my kids. Kid for starters, maybe kids.
Awesome.
And there you go.
On both fronts. Yeah.
Yes, congratulations, and soon to be dad. At the time of this recording, another big achievement in your life. So that's 2 big wins, man. I think you're doing.
And it all happened right at Daytona.
It happened.
We found out that we were pregnant right after the race.
Wow.
2 weeks after.
Oh yeah.
Daytona's a cool middle name.
Yeah.
Daytona is a cool
that
middle
watch
name.
Is reserved.
It's got a name on it already. So for the final question here, Daniel, so where do you see sim racing headed? 2, 3, 4 years from now? That's my final question for you.
I hope that more real life drivers can get involved in sim racing and bring some attention to it, because all the drivers in sim racing are so talented and they don't get enough spotlight. So I think that sim racing drivers should be focused on more and should get more opportunity. If they want to continue sim racing, they should have the eyeballs. If they want to transition into real racing, there should be that opportunity for some of these drivers. I've seen it firsthand with our group. These guys can drive. If you can drive on the sim, you can more or less be reasonable in real life. Now, would you be elite level? That's hard to say, but at least they're competent. They can turn the wheel left and right and push the pedals and be reasonably within the lap time. So I would love for more people to get into it, guys from other disciplines. You can see like Crim 6, Ian Porter. He's a Call of Duty wizard, and he's transitioned into racing.
Coming over
guys
to
like that in maybe other disciplines and in first-person shooters that are transitioning over, maybe bringing more eyeballs. That would be awesome. In terms of realism, I'd love for these companies, sim racing companies, to utilize the real drivers even more than they are right now to, bring in that real life experience to help the simulator, the sim, which we're trying to simulate reality, try to make it more realistic. And think that with more drivers being interested from the real world, it's just going to, help everyone. And hopefully we have this blended reality where we can really use the sim 1-to-1 to the real car.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want.
Okay. Well said.
Awesome.
Is there any other round tables, guys? Any other last things before we let Daniel go?
Hey man, I just want to say thank you. Every time we have a guest, it's you almost just, cliche saying, since we're doing it today, pinch yourself when they dial into our humble little podcast, and you get to see the screen that you watch on YouTube, at night when you're trying to go to bed or, doing whatever. And you're like, holy cow, like they're in our podcast. So, thank you. It's a humbling, awesome experience getting to talk to you and your experience and your road and the path that you're on, and wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
And the best takeaway is that at the end of the day, I'm just another human being, just like everyone else. Right. So
nah, man,
I think what's cool.
You won the Daytona.
Obviously I get
twice.
to do some cool stuff, but
you're a GOAT, bro. You're not.
One thing that's cool is when you're at the racetrack, I would say don't be afraid. Like, for anyone listening and you're at the real racetrack, don't be afraid to go up to drivers and start talking to them, because most people will be pretty cool, I would say, especially in sports car racing. You never know who you'll meet, and maybe you've raced them even online before. So it's cool. Like, don't be afraid to talk to people. For me, I'm always out the back of the trailer, sitting on a chair. People will come by and talk all the time. Like I said, just a human being. We're all the same. I get to do a cool job. I drive a race car, but doesn't make me any better or any worse than everyone else. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I know that people are shy in real life, going to the racetrack and talking to some guys or speaking to your idol, whether it's a movie star or someone in a high position. It doesn't matter. Just be yourself and have fun, and you never know who you can meet.
Okay, Eric, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, man, just kind of piggybacking off of what Jeff said. For me, like I said, starting out sim racing, and once the algorithm took over, I just saw this guy with these cool looking gloves all over Facebook. every time I did a search, I just saw this guy showing these gloves. He had them yellow ones, he had the bone ones. I'm like, man,
we targeted you. You're locked in now.
Oh, I'm locked in.
The tentacles are around you. You're done.
Oh yeah. I'm fully locked in, and to be talking to you here and hear your story, that's been one of the things I love about this podcast. Is it's such a beautiful time in sim racing, because we're getting to hear the stories of people that have been having a big impact on it and will impact it for a long time to come. Definitely the work you and your wife are doing with the products and just bringing more respect to sim racing. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
All right. So, Daniel, it's a massive pleasure. I have to give a shout out to Mike from the Sim Racing Den for making this possible. And, Mike's the dude, man, Michael. And, I feel the same way. I know you're like the nicest, humblest guy on the show. And, you're the group that the M group, the M squad that you mentioned. Yeah. It's like them. It's like my heart is like beating so fast. Like, damn, that's kind of cool, man, that you have a professional driver but cares about the community, and you're giving feedback, also helping simulators built out. We didn't know about this. We didn't know that you helped fix the discrepancies with the map on Spa and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm just ecstatic to have you here. I really appreciate you giving us the time out of your extremely busy schedule to come on the show today. And have a lot of respect for you. I've followed you for a long time. It wasn't under the Chicane Podcast. That's kind of new, but huge fan of your work, not just on the track, but over on your YouTube side, and also your products too, which when we end this call, I'm probably going to go on to moradness.com and check what's on there. Yep. We had a sneak peek of the products too. So I just want to end it with this. Do you have anything for the Chicane Podcast?
Man, we talked about everything. We covered it all. But, if anyone wants to find a pair of gloves for yourself, you can go to moradness.com. I'm sure you're going to have it all linked, and there's going to be a code for the show and anyone listening and watching. But
thank you.
Just if you want to get in touch, amazing community on Discord. super engaged. We do watch parties all the time. I'll pop in the middle of a race. I even pop into the Discord with like everyone, not just our team, but the general public, and they'll be watching, and I'll pop in. So I really like to stay engaged with the community and get to know as many people as possible. So yeah, you can easily get in touch with me on any social platform. Hopefully I answer in a timely manner. Sometimes the inbox is quite full, but I try to be accommodating and make racing as inclusive as possible.
Awesome, man. So with that, guys, make sure you check out Daniel Morad's YouTube channel, Moradness.com. Check out all his gear and content that's available online. And with that, I just want to say thank you, everybody that's on this stream. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making the time. And for all you viewers and listeners out there, have a great start of your week. Thank you.